it's clear that this is one issue that Donald Trump can't bully people into silence about. His own supporters, in fact, the most ardent of his own supporters, are insistent that the full story be released and that all the facts that are held by Donald Trump's own government be made public.
Why does he keep changing his mind on this, Russell? Because before the election, he promised to release the files related to the Epstein case, then he said he wouldn't. And now this. How much is he being swayed by the reaction of his supporter base?
You know, he has for many years never missed an opportunity to paint civil servants as self-serving ideologues who deserve to be fired and who are machinating to defeat his own constituents and to betray the American people. So back in January, just weeks before his inauguration, this is how he cast civil servants working for the Department of Justice. And he said they're hiding the facts of the Epstein case, and they're hiding the list of Epstein's clients. It's very strange that in office, he's now refusing to release those materials. He did release, for instance, and declassified materials having to do with the JFK assassination. So why not take the same tack here? Why not do exactly the same thing with the Epstein files? It is actually very strange, very difficult to explain, unless you suppose that perhaps there's something in those files that would make the president look bad.
So he's gone back to his original position, Russell. Does changing his mind so often like this, is that doing his reputation and his standing any damage?
Facts are moving fast here, but my understanding is that he hasn't gone back to his original position. He's merely releasing the material that was presented to the grand jury. He is not releasing all the material in the possession of the Department of Justice. So this is not, in fact, I think he's only going to increase the appetite for a full release with this partial release. So we'll see whether he goes back to his original position. As far as changing his mind, the fact of the matter is, as I said, his own most loyal and most passionate supporters are insistent about this. He thought he could bully them into submission. He thought he could make it go away. He thought he could say, there's nothing to see here. This is a Democratic Party perpetrated hoax. But that's just not the nature of of this phenomenon.
So what material then could be released by the Attorney General now? Potentially what's in the grand jury testimony?
Well, I don't know, what's in it. It's secret testimony, so I could only speculate. But I think, there are. What I can say is that people have basic questions about Jeffrey Epstein. One question is, how did he come to be so wealthy? This is somebody who didn't have any credentials and didn't have any skills. How did he come to amass hundreds of millions of dollars? Houses and private planes and luxury that's almost unimaginable. How did he do that? How was he able to victimize over 1,000 girls over the course of many, many years without being brought to justice? And so these are the questions that people want answered. I don't think they're going to be answered by the grand jury indictment materials, but I think that in fact the curiosity about this case will not diminish until these elemental common sense questions are addressed.
So is it now, Russell, up to the Attorney General to decide what to release from that grand jury testimony?
I think, of course it is. In most administrations, there's a little bit of insulation between the Attorney General and the President. The idea being that we don't want our chief law enforcement prosecutor to be directed by someone with a re-election motive and someone who's so political. But in this administration, it's clear that the Attorney General is basically on the end of the leash that's being held by Donald Trump. So whether it's the Attorney General who decides to the President, I don't know. But I think that the decision will happen together.
Just finally, there's a big interest in this so-called client list, Russell, and questions as to whether or not there is one. What's the latest on that?
It seems that even if there isn't several sheets of paper with all the names on them, that such a list could easily be created based on records obtained from Epstein's households. and maybe one has been created. So I'm not sure whether Epstein himself kept the list, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Justice Department has such a thing or could easily create one. And of course, people are very curious about that also. I mean, another thing that's very difficult to explain about Jeffrey Epstein is how somebody so vile, so odious, so creepy could have attracted the company of the world's most celebrious and powerful men, such as Bill Gates, Bill Clinton, and Donald Trump himself.